Please welcome the 2011 Citizen of the Year and our former city manager, Bill Keffler.
Thank you, Ron. And Senator Cruz, it's a real pleasure to have you in our fine town here in Richardson. Let me say this is a tremendous honor. Last year, it was an unbelievable way to complete an unbelievable career, and I'm so excited about what Bob and the council and Dan and the city team are doing and continue to do, and we're going to hear more about that in the remarks, certainly as Ron and Chris exchange the gavel. It was a great event with Andrew Card, and we're so pleased, Senator, that you can be such a critical part of this today. Now, I'm going to try to do the best I can with what Amy, and I want to thank Amy Alexander and Molly Ulmer both for their work in putting this together, because it's going to be hard for me not to give this out as I'm speaking. So bear with me a little bit, and we'll hope for the best. Our Citizen of the Year was born in July 3rd, 1943. And as you can see, looks like a normal all-American house over there, right? Cleveland, Ohio was the home birth for Joe and Ruth's young son. And when the dad went off to Navy, as Joe did, certainly our recipient wanted to be just like Pop. And you'll see that here shortly. Look a little bit alike, don't they? Well, our recipient lived in Lakewood, Ohio for 8 years and ultimately moved to Pharma, Ohio, where he graduated from the largest high school class in the country with 995 kids, June 1961. And in fall of that same year, started in school in Kent State University, where our young recipient, and maybe now you guys can start recognizing that it's not a girl, but our young recipient at that point became an SAE, one of the great fraternities, and graduated in 4 years with his business degree. We moved forward with a career that moved at light speed in many respects. First job with Republic Steel in Cleveland, where he was a management trainee and spent 5 years in that organization. And in 1970, moved over to Pillsbury Burger King, where he took himself down to Miami of Florida as Director of Human Resources, a role that he became very, very comfortable with over many years. In 1976, our recipient made a trip with a new company, still with Pillsbury, but Wilton Enterprises, where he became Vice President of Human Resources and Facilities. And it was there that he met his young bride, Sharon. They were married in that year, and I've got a slide coming up now that doesn't make any sense. We just wanted to show it. That is our recipient completing, believe it or not, a marathon in Chicago in 1984. So we didn't have a place to drop it. We thought we'd put it right after Sharon for some reason. 1987 is when we start seeing the real recipient, as he came to Richardson, Texas with Fujitsu Network Communications, a move that many of us in this room remember with tremendously great pride because it was the start of an avalanche for this community. You can see Joe up on the heavy equipment business, and he always was a hands-on kind of a guy. I'm just glad he didn't try to start the tractor. 1989, Fujitsu blew into town and took 140 acres with 830,000 square feet, and today over 1,500 employees, and started changing the course of this community as a technology giant that it is. Joe ultimately retired this past 2 years, in June 2011. Mr. Tajima is over there with him right now, as well as Jeff Meyer in that photo, another great contributor to the city of Richardson and the Richardson Chamber. and he retired as Senior Vice President of Human Resources and Community Relations, of which he took very, very seriously. And it was at that point that we started seeing the other side of our recipient, the community side, the part that gives and keeps on giving, as he has done in many, many roles. His first work was actually with the city of Richardson in 1990 when he was a member of the City Plan Commission. And as everyone knows, that's where the rubber meets the road in terms of the development of our great community. 1991, he started a relationship that he has continued, the real passion by which I've seen our recipient over many years, and that was with Richardson Medical Center, at that time an independent hospital authority board where he was chairman from 1995 to 1997. And worked through a couple of relationships, both with Baylor and the Methodists. He hasn't tried on the Catholics yet. We'll have to see where that goes. But in that work, Joe continued to demonstrate an unbelievable community commitment. And then the business side with the Metroplex Technology Business Council, of which he was one of the founders of that organization, and moved on to the chairman of the board of the chamber in our 50th anniversary. And that was a great day when our president, George W. Bush, as governor at that time, was our speaker. So Joe got to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and also a tremendous honor for this community to host our beloved president. 1989, he turned a new role to neighborhood youth and family counseling, which is now called the Counseling Place, where he served as president and a board member through an organization that supports victims' assistance in a wide range of very critical elements of our social community. 2008, he took on yet another chapter in his community life, and that with the excellence in education in our fine school district, of which is a second passion that I've seen with our recipient, where he served in Excellence in Education Board and continues to demonstrate that leadership today. And in 2011, he was recognized for yet another facet of his contribution, and that is in the community arts, where he was recognized with the Heart for the Arts Award. And what a lot of people don't realize, and just having celebrated 20 years with the Wildflower Festival, but in many respects, Joe, in this case, our recipient, was able to birth what is now a tremendous festival from an activity that started off small called Sounds of Freedom. Now let us turn to the real part of this award recipient, the one that the part of his life that is his most important, and that is the family. In addition to Sharon, who we all certainly know, he's got 3 children and 6 grandchildren. His daughter Michelle lives in Scarsdale, New York, his son Joel in Savannah, and son Michael in Houston. And obviously the 6 grandchildren are an important part of his life. He's one of the many, many parishioners of Clayton Oliphant over at First United Methodist Church, and continues to be a great contributor there. Clayton wishes he could be here today and had an out-of-town commitment, as well as the family activities that he's continued to generate with these beautiful slides that we all can appreciate the family commitment that someone of the stature of our recipient provides. Now, since his retirement, our recipient has continued to be active, and that's what is so significant about this individual. He just keeps on giving, not only in continuing to work with the Counseling Place, the Excellence in Education, and of course his real passion, which is Methodist Richardson Medical Center, and the new work that we're doing with Steve Mansfield and the tremendous work of the Methodist Hospital System Board. And actually, he's my boss this year as he's chairing the capital campaign for Methodist Richardson Medical Center, an activity that's proceeding on right now to grow a $120 million investment out at Bush Renner for our new 150-seat hospital. In conclusion, this individual has made the consummate commitment to his community. And when I had the opportunity to first meet Joe back in 1988, after Fujitsu began their new campus and announced that campus, what we continued to see from not only Fujitsu and its community engagement, but from an individual who took his job very, very seriously. And it wasn't as much the job with Fujitsu as it was for his community. We let him get away for a while, and he moved to Garland. Kind of bummed me out. But we got him back. And as a Canyon Creek dweller right now, we're continuing to see a man who has put the personality on the technology world. He's continued to demonstrate a new metric for the city of Richardson's giving, and I truly believe he does bleed blue. No excuses for this guy. We're all busy. It never meant anything to him. He continued to want to demonstrate his commitments. It took Sharon and I an arm and a leg to get our recipient here today. He gave up on a hospital board meeting downtown this afternoon. He could handle that, but it's this golf game that he's got this afternoon that's really tearing at him. And of course, it's a fundraiser for the counseling place of which he's on the board. I heard him tell the guys he thought he'd be there by about the second hole. We'll see whether or not that happens. But I want to tell you it is with a great deal of pride that I ask you to join me in welcoming our 2013 Citizen of the Year, Joe Snayd. Now, this is probably going to be a little harder than that tee shot that you were going to make here, Joe. But on behalf of the Richardson Chamber of Commerce, it is such a pleasure to provide this to you. You are a man among men and someone that we all have a great deal to be appreciative of.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Do it, yeah.
I'm nearly speechless, but some of you know me that that's not going to be the case. I just want to thank the Chamber, of course, my friend Bill. The Chamber has been very important to me. This community has been very important to me. It's kind of interesting to watch your life pass through on a screen, and I grabbed my wife's arm, Sharon, and I said, you must have had a lot to do with this. But I truly do appreciate it. I want to thank my company, Fujitsu. If it wasn't for them asking me in 1988 to become their community relations representative in Richardson, this would never have happened. And you know, it's not a job. It was just a ton of fun. And we're going to continue to do that. And again, I thank you. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. I can remember when I was a chairman, we looked at the Citizen of the Year award. It's kind of like our Hall of Fame. And to be part of it is just magnificent. And thank you very much.